Hey creators, welcome back to Creator Best Life for a brand new video. We are well into our process of writing our feature in 90 days. And so I took a little bit of time off because I was working, but now I'm back and we can really finish this script. So simultaneously while I am writing this script, I am building my pitch deck, creating my pitch materials, and making sure that I have all the materials that I need to package this story. And because I'm using this process not only as a way to hold myself accountable to actually do the thing, but also to teach you guys who are newer, who want to know like what the process is and how I've made my process a little bit easier, because not everyone does it the exact same way. But I'll be real, I always thought that the writing process was the hardest part. And while it is difficult, depending on the story, depending on like life circumstances at the time, packaging your project is also a challenge because you have to take this idea that you just had in your head onto the page and then also create these materials that give somebody an idea of what your overall story is. For instance, if it's a TV show, they kind of want to know like what some future seasons are going to look like, what the rest of the season is going to look like. They want to know who you think is going to be in it, and most importantly, how much is this going to cost, okay? So as I'm writing my projects, I tend to use my writing brain and my producer brain just so that I can make sure that I have all the things working at the same time and I don't have to work backwards. So if you want some actionable steps to help you get your project ready to pitch, just keep watching. Okay, so we want to shape this project into something that we actually want to be seen. You know, we want our projects to get to our audiences. That is the goal. Step one is starting with the core of the story. Before I even think about the visuals or the structure, I'm always going back to what is this story actually about? What am I trying to say? And I'm not just talking about the plot, I'm talking about the actual core of the project. What is the emotional message that I'm trying to convey in this story? Why do I feel like this story even needs to exist? And why do I feel like I'm the person who should bring this story to life? What is my voice and what is my vision for this story and how people are supposed to perceive and receive it? And I've always found that if I can't say that clearly, then everything else is messy and it means nothing. Step two is you need to figure out who this story is following. Who is your main character? What kind of person are they? You really want to be able to sit with your main character and ask, who are they deep down? You need to thoroughly understand what they want versus what they need and what kind of world they're moving through. I'm going to tell you, if your character is not clear and you don't know who your character is at the very atom level, your pitch is going to fall apart. So I know it's tempting. I know it is hard, but you are going to really have to take your time on these two parts. And that is also part of the rewrite process because, yeah, we delved into our character development, our character breakdowns, but the story will tell you and the characters will tell you who that person is. And also, you'll get so good that your voice just automatically comes out and you don't even have to try. You know what you want to say. You're just holding yourself back. I also talk about holding yourself back in your writing and how writer's block is just a series of things you're going through in your life in another video. I will share it right here as well as in the description box. Step three is focusing what it feels like. And I truly think that this is what people skip a lot. So when you're developing your pitch, you don't want to think about just what happens in your story, not just the play-by-play of what's going on, but each scene, each beat. What is the feeling behind it? What does it feel like? What is the mood? What is the tone? Think about all the subtext you've been including in your dialogue. What does the world really look like when you're sitting inside it? Because that's truly what your audience is going to be doing, sitting inside your world and escaping their reality. So you need to make sure that your world feels relatable, feels impossible, feels real. So think of your pitch deck as setting the tone and not just giving information, because you are adding visuals and emotion to the story. And step four is very simple. You build the deck as you go. That's what I like to do when I write. Right now, I am slowly putting pieces together like the log line, character breakdowns, story arcs, tone references, mood. I'm looking for my comparable projects and also getting visual ideas for it. So I'm watching comparable projects. I am screenshotting them. I'm looking on Shot Deck and Pinterest and Googling stills from projects that are similar to the tone and mood of my project so that I can get a feel for what I actually want it to look like and the mood of it. So is it a darker tone? Is it a lighter tone? Is it a thriller? Is it a comedy? Like, comedies are lighter, thrillers are darker, they tend to be, you know, so unless it's a dark comedy, you know, there is a blend of genres. And since I'm doing a blend of genres right now, I kind of have to find something that is, one, a blend, but also a couple of projects that give both one or the other, and so I can combine them in my pitch deck so that the person who is viewing my pitch deck and hopefully seeking to fund it can visualize that I am genre bending in this story and they can get a feel for what is actually going to be in terms of experience for themselves and the audience. So I tend to start out with a blank presentation on Canva, nothing too fancy. We just want to get everything that we want on there. So I told you the pages, but you also want to think about budget. And a lot of people don't want to talk about budget, especially when they are writers, because they're like, I'm not a producer. But sometimes, unfortunately, not even sometimes, unfortunately, we got to put our producer hats on, okay? And we have to be thinking about how much is this going to cost, because the more characters you have in your scenes, the more locations you have, the more special effects, fantasy elements, that's going to cost you more money, okay? And the longer your script is, it's going to cost you more money. So you need to think about that ahead of time. Now, I'm not telling you to hold yourself back. The story is the story. Write the biggest story that you could possibly think of and then do your pitch deck. Now, if you're working with a smaller production company and you guys are trying to figure out how to do this, you might want to do a proof of concept. You might want to do, a short version of your feature and tell the story that way, or just a portion of it. And that could be your calling card, but it's totally up to you. All I'm saying is the pitch deck helps you put your producer hat on, and it helps make sure that when you are trying to make the thing, you have the materials to not only get funded, but also so that your team that you're working with, they can get inside your head and understand what this story is supposed to look and feel like. And that way you don't have to be constantly going back and forth telling them, no, that's not what I asked for. No, that's not what I want. Here's my Pinterest board. Think of your pitch deck as your Pinterest board if that's what you love to do. And there you go. So don't try to overthink it. Don't try to do too much before you have all the meat of your pitch deck. And then when you have all your pieces together after you're done writing the script, then you can make it cute and make it fun and make it on theme, on brand, and fit the type of story and tone that you got going on. So here's why my process has become creating pitch decks as I'm writing. When I was a young whippersnapper, and I had just started out writing, I thought that I had to write the script first and then do the pitch deck. No, if you are developing your characters and your world, you want to make sure that you don't forget anything. So I don't care if you have to write it in a separate notebook, which is what I like to do. I use my Remarkable tablet and I write down every detail about my character. I have a separate page for each character, and then I write down details about their life. We did this in previous videos, and I'll link that as well so that you can keep up with that. And then I also write details about those people that are connected to them and how they are all connected to each other. I write details about my story, my plot. I write down my comparable projects. I start watching those comparable projects as I'm writing it to give myself the tone and feel of it. I also listen to the soundtracks of similar comparable projects so that I get the feel and the tone and I can visualize my scenes. I'm not saying you have to do it like I do it. Truthfully, you could start on the script, finish the script, and then do the pitch deck. Like, give yourself some time, step away from the project, then come back. I, don't like to forget things. I want to make sure that I have everything on paper. So if you're somebody that prefers that, you could do it this way. I just want to make sure that it all is existing at the exact same time, Because for me, I think part of what being a producer is, while I'm a writer, is thinking beyond what's happening on the page, even if I am still in the process of writing the project. I'm always thinking about, what is the marketing going to look like? What is the distribution going to look like? And I know that's a lot. And technically, it's not your job as the writer. But because I like to do both, and because we are in a season in our industry where we kind of have to do both now, we have to take into our own hands, I have to think that way. And honestly, thinking like a producer also helps me be a better writer. I think that they go hand in hand. And I think that it is important for us to at least learn some of the tools from each position so that we can be more well-rounded filmmakers. So this is where I'm at right now. I am writing a feature in real time, again, with you along for the ride, and I'm also packaging it as I go. Naturally, I used to be somebody that waited until it was perfect before I released it, or waited until my idea was perfect before I execute. But you know what? People that execute are better than people with the ideas. Yes, the ideas have to be great, but what is an idea if it doesn't happen? You know what I'm saying? And so even if it's not the best idea, because I'm never claiming to be the best, I'm never claiming to be the smartest or the most creative. I just enjoy what I do. I believe that I was called to do what I do and tell stories and bring stories to life and document the times. And I personally feel like it is my job to execute and execute timely. I just watched the Michael movie, and it was the part where Michael said that I need to act on this song or else God will give it to Prince. Do you want God to give your story to somebody else or the universe or whoever you believe in? No. You want the idea to be for you because you were asked to execute that vision. Okay, so don't waste your time. Go ahead and cut the cord, do what you need to do, and truly figure out your process of building something that exists beyond you. So follow along here on YouTube and on my socials, my process of writing my feature in 90 days or beyond, because let's be real, sometimes life happens. And let's just get our stories done and pursue our careers together. As always, guys, go create your best life today.